Okay, so here we are, and this is the first podcast of the Young Theatre and Young Theatre of the Move project, which I am very pleased to be hosting. So my name is Paul Murray, Dr. Paul Murray. I am actor and theatre director and teacher, and I got involved in this project from the beginning in 2017, at least the beginning of the action part. The project itself was designed and applied for by the Pionirsky Dom in Ljubljana, and originally they involved five different partners, one of which was the Children's Cultural Centre in Belgrade, which is where I got involved. I'm living and working in Belgrade, and I run a English language youth theatre there. So I got involved from there. There was also from Poland was the Elk Cultural Centre. Then from Romania, we're going to get to the Romanians in a little second because my first guest is from there. And then also latterly, we've had the Nathalie Connelly dance company who've got involved from France. But I don't think I've missed anybody out there. Now we are on the first podcast. I'm really happy to introduce and be speaking in conversation with Irina Furdui, who is from Romania. And hi, Irina.
Hi, Paul. So nice to see you and
yeah,
hear you.
Likewise. So maybe you can just give us just a brief introduction of yourself and the organization that you're working for.
Yes. Okay. So I'm Irina Furdui. I work at the Comic Opera for children here in Bucharest because I live in Bucharest. This is an institution that was based and performs, has performances and shows for kids, for young adults maybe, but kids mostly. So everything that we do, from performances to activities, lots of activities, are meant for young children, and I mean children from 3 to maybe 12, 15 years old. Yes, and I'm in love with the stage. I will tell you that I'm a violinist. I mean, I started my education in the artistic field as a musician, as a violinist, and then I switched a little bit the angle, and I started to work on being opera director. So somehow it mingles everything, and from this point, I've done work with kids, with adults. For example, I worked for a brief time as a medieval artist, which was a cool wow. Period of time in my life. Yeah.
Excellent. I think it's one thing is interesting to me here is about how the improvisation of our careers. I think I feel the same kind of thing. I started off as an actor, and then I went into director by accident, working with community groups, working in different kind of institutions, none of which were really artistic institutions. I worked in prisons, I worked in psychiatric hospitals, none of which really kind of gave me a career as such, a proper career, as my mum would say. It really just was following my nose and following what was interesting to me. And the only thing I really knew how to do was to do a workshop with people in a room using drama, because that's what had been done to me. That was the most interesting thing done to me at school. And so I kind of wanted to carry that on and take that to different places. And of course, I've been lucky enough to work with musicians and dancers and artists and teachers and psychologists, pedagogues, you know, all those people, and picking up, like you know, we pick up different skills and inspirations along the way. And I don't know, one of the things about, you know, we keep coming back to on improvisation is yes and, you know, of accepting and building. And I think when I look back at, you know, those turning points in my career, you know, people have come along and I've either consciously or unconsciously just sort of said yes, and then we'll see what we can do together. And then we hang out for a while, work together for a while, then we move on, but we move on with those different skills. I mean, I wonder, do you see your career like that? I mean, it sounds like mine, rather sort of unconventional in terms of, you know, what's a violinist doing, you know, directing plays and running workshops with kids. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. How do you make sense of it? Does it worry you, or you just follow your nose?
I think the second one, as you said, you know, maybe because I'm getting bored easily, maybe in my life. I don't know about others, but I get bored super easy. So I constantly need to do something new.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this has to do with you know, trying to learn every time, I don't know, trying to learn new things every day. So I think, for example, what you told me, I find very valuable as experience, you know, working with so many how do you say, like with prisoners. Yeah. This is something interesting. I mean, what did you learn from all this experience, for example? I mean, how all of these transformed you and brought you maybe closer to what you are doing today?
I think I was I started doing it because I mean, our faculty made us do it. You know, they would send us out into groups that they already had organized. So we got sent to it was a residential home for adults with learning difficulties. Mm-hmm. And every year they would send certain groups to work in these centers, and they would send us. But because it was back in the 80s, they didn't really say, they didn't really tell us what we had to do. They just said, go and do some drama. And so, which I think, I mean, they had the staff in these centers, of course, they had the staff, but we would just turn up without any idea what to do. And we just had to kind of play it by ear and just see what was in front of us. So that really sort of sparked me off. My parents were part of a church when I was a kid, and I didn't really get left much of the religion, but what they were particularly fond of doing was working in community with people that they would say were kind of outsiders in society. So I kind of remained curious in outsiders in society for I don't know, because it's sort of they're so easily written off, and I just thought that can't be right. There's got to be something. I mean, maybe. And then so I just I had this curiosity that stayed with me, and then I started working with this group when I was a student. And it was just amazing. Like you would do the same exercise that you do with students or with your colleagues. But these people who had never done any drama before would just interpret the whole thing completely differently. They would surprise you much more than your sort of acting colleagues or your professionals, just in terms of the work. And that has something to do with their experience of life or what have you. But it was just really, really different. And so, like you know, as someone who's got bored easily, this just became fascinating to me. And these, let's call them, you know, outsiders in society became fascinating to me because, you know, sort of, I don't know, like as a stubbornness, I just felt like maybe these have got more to teach. These situations have got more to teach me than traditional educational environments. And so I kind of pursued those things as far as my energy would take me.
So just a question, did you get out of for example, did you get out of your comfort zone while working with?
Oh, completely. Yeah, completely. Remember the first time I worked in a prison, I mean, it's a prison. I mean, it's scary, and it should be scary. And I go, should be scary. I mean, it is scary. I went in, and the first thing that happened was a guy put his hand up and he said, "Why the f do we have to do drama?" And that was the first. That was the first question, and it was obviously it's a great question. Why would these bunch of prisoners be wanting to do drama or have to do drama? And it was really as simple as, well, you know, they didn't have a choice and I'm getting paid, so we're in a room for an hour, let's do something.
Sorry, continue.
No, that's, I mean, that was the answer at the time.
Because I don't know, did all these people, I mean, have you seen any change in them after a while? Maybe, I mean, I'm asking because I'm curious if the art had any role. I mean, because you were making art with them, so
yes,
the art had any role in I don't know, did this change them, or I don't know?
I think
had an impact on them.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, because I think that you know, as we know, art is a hugely powerful thing, and whatever art that is, I think with theatre particularly, I mean, the theatre is kind of the closest art to regular human activity. It's sort of, you know, we talk, we move together, we communicate with each other using words and body language. It's very close. But it's hugely powerful. I saw change in them like I saw change in myself when I first did it and when I did it with them, you know, and that is because of the art, because of this art form, because of theatre. Because if it's done, you know, this doing strange things in a room with other people, playing games, doing activities, following these basic rules, if you follow those, it will affect you positively. I just really believe it, if it's done in a certain way. And that happened with the people that I'm working with. And it's not like a magic thing. It's not like it's not therapy as such, because there's no, in my work at least, there was no analysis of, you know, the response or the content of their contribution or their ideas. It was really simply following the rules of improvisation as we know them. And I think that is a hugely developmental thing to do.
You know, as a you know, short break on what you are saying, you know, Aristotle, I reminded, I mean, it just came back to my mind that Aristotle has an entire chapter in his work, Politics, about the importance of artistic education. So if someone, you know, thousands of years ago thought that, why not, you know, it's clear that we can use it today, and we can, it's obvious that it's something important, you know, the artistic education.
Yeah. Have you found, and I think it's something that there's something, I mean, there's something about this improvisation, which I think is key. I mean, both you and I, probably you more than me actually, in terms of music. I mean, a classical musical education is, I don't know, from my experience, there doesn't seem to be a lot of space for maneuver or improvising or mucking around or getting it wrong. Am I wrong, or is that
can we just stop it a little bit, because someone
again now?
Okay, so you know, in school it was quite strict. I mean, the teachers were strict because the music has some strict rules. It was written in a certain way. You had to play it in a certain way. Maybe, I don't know, maybe things changed in the last 20, 30 years since I was, a kiddo and I started to play violin. So I hope that it did change, because I felt like my wings were chopped off, while being a kid, because I had to do so many things. For example, okay, I was preparing the technical stuff, and then I was preparing the artistic stuff. But when I got to stage, on stage, it's quite overwhelming, because I never felt free on stage. I was constrained by, I wasn't allowed to look pretty. I had to wear black pants, white shirt, or black or something like that. Don't move, don't show them that you are afraid, don't show them that you are happy, don't wear any jewelry, don't, I mean, there were so many don't do that, and no. Was no, because I've lost, at a point I lost my how do I say it? I lost my joie de vivre on stage. I lost the joy, and I wanted to be free and to be creative, and I never had the chance. And that moment was the moment that I said I don't want to play violin anymore, and I stopped. And that's why I changed, and I searched something new. And I found directing as a gate to freedom. And then I found what I wouldn't say improv, because I've never done improv as we know it in school, but I've done icebreakers. I've done games that are applied in improv. So it was a shift from don't do that to you are allowed to be, feel free and feel optimistic and be creative. It was a big change, a big turn,
Yes. I think that's what this young theatre project, I think that's something that it was certainly was inspired, as far as I understand, by this need and desire to, introduce this kind of freedom into schools, to try and change methods of teaching. I think Keith Johnson talks about that. I mean, Keith Johnson is quite damning of schools. Keith Johnson, who was one of the forefathers of modern theatre improv.
Yes.
He's very damning of schools and very damning of teachers, and I mean, I'm sympathetic with that from my own experience as a student, and from what you were saying, I don't think it's a very common. I don't think it's a very rare experience for artists to say, school is kind of really down. But I've worked with enough teachers now to, sympathize with them in terms of, the things that they have to do, and the decisions that they're forced to make, and the traditions that they have to maintain. It's very pragmatic. I'm someone working in this system, and this system is like that. And for this kid to get to the next level, they have to be able to stand there. And my God, if they're wearing jewelry, the whole, they will fail and I will fail. So I understand all that. But I think what's nice for me, or maybe for you, when we get teachers in a room, when we get other sort of pedagogues, artists in a room, and we start to kind of share our knowledge and like these games, and and I think improv exercises are pretty much just refined games. So when we share these games with people and we see them starting to free up, like we started to free up. I mean, how does that how has that been for you? Because that was quite a lot. That was quite a big part of the Young Theatre Project, anyway, which was the first one. How did you find that experience?
You know, it's interesting because I was thinking about some memories that and some thoughts that some teachers expressed to me. For example, I had one teacher in the other project. And we invited her with her kids, you know, to us to work with. She said to me, like in an unofficial telephone, she told me, no, these kids are not so smart and they are not so brilliant and not so bright. So please don't try to make anything special with them. And wow. I was like, okay, but that's exactly the point. I mean, all the kids need to learn that they can create this safe place where not to be judged, where not to feel, put down by any. Because I feel sometimes the adults act like tyrants, you know, let's call it tyrants on the kids, because they put this pressure on you have to do what I want, when I want, and how I want you to do it, you know. And but after working with teachers, you know, well, this was a bad example, a negative example, because we also had the teachers that were so pleased and eager to join the workshops, and at first they felt scared, for example, because they had no idea, this was something totally new for them, and they didn't know what to expect, they didn't know how to react. For example, the ladies came in skirts and high heels, you know.
Yep.
And then when they saw that everyone is just relaxed and we want to have fun, and we were always laughing, and even this is something that improv manages to do. It's to create bonds and to make everyone in the group feel lose the pressure, feel and feel ludic again. It reminds us that we can play, we can enjoy playing. We are allowed to enjoy playing, you know, even we are grown-ups, even we are adults for 1 hour or 2 hours. We can just shut off, you know, all the must-dos in our lives, and be less powerful. I don't know how to say it, because we are in a constant pressure all the time. Running for the money, running for you know, the activities that we have to do every, you know, to provide for the others, to be powerful for our kids, or I don't know, our spouses. And this creates I mean, improv creates this place of safety, I think, in my opinion.
I absolutely agree. And I think that's the you know, in those early days when I was working in those different institutions, and now it's the same, is I stubbornly believe in not only in the, you know, developmental power of playing, but also in everybody's desire to do it, even if they think they don't want to. I really believe I've seen so many, in terms of, we said earlier on about, you know, have I seen changes? I think for me, I would rather, you know, talk about the changes that you see in the room rather than to think about any potential change which happens for people afterwards. I mean, I can speak about the changes that this work has had on me in the long term. But actually the things that I see, and I can definitely say have happened, is that you know, the shyest people in the room have become the most outspoken, that
Mm-hmm.
the most scared person has become the bravest, that the saddest has become the happiest, and that the most lonely has been, no, not lonely, the most alone has become the center of a crowd. All of those things have happened in workshops in as you said, in a unforced manner, because of the game that is being played. And
Yeah.
you know, it's all, and again, for me, it's this balance between, you know, I want everybody to join in. I want everyone to join in the game, and I want to see everybody playing and be happy and be engaged in the game, because that's what this game demands. In order for it to be played, everybody has to be involved. And if somebody's standing outside, it just means it's harder for the game to be played, because it's being observed by someone who's not playing. So that's why I think it's such a powerful, you know, as it's developed over God knows how many years, I mean, thousands of years. You were saying to me earlier on about, you know, you researched into how long theatre improv has been around. I mean, yes, it isn't a modern thing. It didn't start when Spolin and Johnson wrote the books. It started maybe as long as humans have started.
Yeah.
And there are reasons why, you know, we say what we do in terms of everyone has to play, accept, say yes, don't say no. And I think it is because it just makes the play. And this idea that as adults, we don't need to develop anymore, we don't need to play anymore, is to me so sad. And whenever I can't do it, I get hugely depressed, because I just like, you know, but I don't know, I think, how many people do you think you had workshops with? How many people do you think have sort of been touched by this project directly in Bucharest?
Quite many. I mean, at first I was afraid. I was afraid that we are not going to touch, you know, to reach to so many people. But because we were calling, for example, we were calling to schools, or you know, typing emails, and maybe if we had 400 at first, many of them got scared and canceled.
Yeah.
So maybe just a quarter of them actually joined us, you know. But then, you know, these people went to their schools and started to speak about what they've done and the activities they had, and then other teachers from those schools, or the teachers who are afraid at first, you know, to join us, then came to the workshops. And I treasure very much a workshop that we had for teachers who work with kids with disabilities. Yes, and at first some of them were quite reticent, and they were saying, okay, you have so many activities involving, you know, action or speaking, and our kids don't do this or don't do that. How going to help, you know, my activity with them? And you know, it's hard to tell them that, because you don't know. I have never worked with kids with disabilities, and I don't know how hard it can be, or how do you work with them. I have no idea. But we were quite optimistic, and we tell them, okay, maybe maybe you can't you know, make the same things that we are doing today, but maybe adapt some things. And if you are willing to remain you know, with us in the team, maybe you will find some benefits. You can take some benefits from this workshop. And then they remained, or they came back the second day and the third day of the activities, and this gave me like such a great feeling, and it was the best feedback. Not they didn't have to say anything. They didn't have to just knowing them that they are present.
Yeah.
This was the best response, that they find this project valuable and help in their work. So this is, for me, this is the greatest achievement of all.
It's a lovely story, and I think that there's a real I mean, I know projects need this, and I know academic research need this and stuff like that, but I'm with you. If someone's in the room, then it's having a positive effect on them. If they're, if they're playing, if they're participating, even if the look on their face says, "What the hell are we doing this for?" They're doing it. It means it's working for them in some way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, even if at first they are not participating, I mean, they are not actively participating, in a workshop, and they are just being present in the room. But after a while, they mingle, they want to participate, because they want to break this barrier of the system. I don't know how it's at you, but here in Romania, the system, it's hard, to break. It's hard to bring the new in the system. It's hard to make like a how do you say it, when you bring, in something that has so much theory, you bring the active things. I don't know.
I think the same. I mean, it shocks me, when I work with kids sometimes. There are some really some of the simplest improvisation games about imagine something. Imagine you've got a bag in front of you, and imagine there's something in the bag. And then it amazes me when I've had children of maybe 7 or 8 years old who said, "I can't think of anything." And to me, it's the saddest reflection of the school system that I could possibly think of. Either the school system, or it's the biggest reflection of their own fear.
Yes.
Because, at 7, it's the height of their ability to think of something. It's the peak of their ability to make something up, to think about something. So whatever happened to that child that made that child look at me and think, "I can't think of anything that might be in this bag," it's horrific. And I want to, and that child can't play that game. And that game is called, think of something that's in this bag that it isn't. Think of something, imagine something in this bag that isn't there. That's the game. Now, when you get to the point where that kid does say something, does think of something, and you, of course, accept whatever that thing is, and you see the response of that child with, slightly more confidence than before. And if that carries on like that, then I really believe, in terms of, again, the effect that you have on that child, the effect that the game has on that child, I think is extraordinary. And that's important to me. It's important to you. But doesn't mean to say that we can, that kid's not going to get a qualification because of that. It's not going to necessarily succeed, pass another exam because of that. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but that's not important to me. What's important to me is that kid's confidence grows and they feel, better about themselves, and they move forward.
Yeah, it's about the self-esteem and the way, you are boosting your because the system just makes puts you in a box and leaves you there. We are limited by so many things, and we become those limits. I mean, we cannot break them.
Yes.
At some point, if we don't have maybe a coach or a mentor to help us, get out of this box.
Yes, yeah.
That's what. Yeah, sorry.
Well, no, go on. You carry on.
No, yeah, I just wanted to say that I really wish that this improv thing could just become something important, at a national level, for example, because it's great to see. I mean, it's so important for the kids and especially for adolescents, in my opinion, because that's the moment when someone, a young person, it's so vulnerable,
Yeah.
And because they are so vulnerable, they try to put walls, and barriers between them and the others. And improv is something that can help you so much, because it shows you that everything it's in you. I mean, you have control of everything, and you have the power, to control everything. But when you don't know that you have this power.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's such a wasted resource.
Yeah.
And I doing these classes once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. I in my school I do what, six classes a week now with between 13 and 16-year-olds, and it's really nice because every time I've been doing it here for 12 years, and but it never gets boring because either the group is different or that every person in that group is different depending on the day. So the group dynamic changes every time, and I'm just part of that group dynamic. And maybe when it goes quiet, they look at me. But apart from that, I like to think of us as it's autonomous. Okay, I have to have authority, and I don't really believe that you can be a teacher and pretend that you don't have authority. But it's what you do with it. But that. And I'm lucky enough to spend some time with them, years with them sometimes, and you see how, like with your own kids, how they develop and the challenges they're facing, and the pressures on them to grow up, the pressures on them to become the adults that you were just describing us to be before. Adults with, have to make decisions, have pressure. They're desperate to be those adults. The 15-year-old is desperate to be that grown-up person.
Yes,
and I'm, and me saying to them, no, you don't want to do that, is not going to convince them. But if for maybe like 20 minutes they forget that pressure on them, and they are, speaking as a Polish chicken to a Hungarian moose about the price of icebergs in Egypt, then after that they are maybe reminded a little bit more of their own spirit and their own authenticity in relation to then leaving that room, and within 5 seconds, buy Coca-Cola, grow up, don't be as fat as you are. All of that stuff all then comes back. But you've had this moment, as you so rightly said before, you've had this kind of safe space and freedom to do this stuff. Not only that, but you've done it with other people. So you've been reminded that, you're not alone, and it's okay. And it's okay to be silly, and silliness. I mean, what do you think about silliness?
I love it, and I think that it's underestimated. Yeah, I think we should be silly more often. I think I discovered being silly with my kid, and I mean, there are times when I see other parents. He already grew. I mean, he's almost 8 years old, so he's not so little anymore. But was a toddler, for example, he was going, with him out in the park, and I was watching, other parents who were like serious and doing important things with their kids, and it's so sad because we force sometimes we force the kids to grow up faster, maybe, and to become more mature faster than they be, instead of us, the adults, remembering how to be kids, you know?
Yeah.
So I really think that we should all be able to be goofy and silly, and to allow us to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because yeah, sorry.
No, sorry, I interrupted you. No, I'm just reminded that that's one thing, isn't it, that we say in these improvisation workshops a lot, that actually mistakes is you know, a creative thing. And I think the teachers find that a little bit difficult to understand sometimes.
Yes, because the system changed them. I mean, you are punished if you make a mistake. You are punished in the system, right? So then at a point, you are going to punish those who make mistakes, because this to do. So it's quite hard, but it's not impossible, you know, to change this mentality and to change this kind of thinking with grown-ups. I mean, I think it's quite liberating to be with so many peoples and be able to make a mistake and to laugh about it. Yeah.
I mean, when I look at the workshops that we did together at the beginning of Young Theatre, I mean, we did those to share the exercises with each other and our experiences. But that kind of, I mean, it so happened that we're all fantastic people, but apart from that, the ice is broken really fast, isn't it? I mean, like you're making, through this kind of work, you make really strong bonds with each other. And I think that happens. And I was speaking to somebody the other day about this, actually, about how long do you need to do this for it to have an effect? And I don't think you have to do it for very long.
No.
What do you think?
In improv, no. You know, I'm talking about our first meetings, you know, for Young Theatre, and it's quite amazing. Maybe I've never lived a similar experience to bond so quickly with other people. It was, for me, it was something special. I want to say that. Because I felt this energy with all of you. I don't know, it was and it still is something very special that I cannot explain. Yeah, but I gained so much, because I think this is something maybe we should explain, you know, to those who watch us and who listen to us. We didn't know each other, so we met another, I don't know how many, we were 10, 12 people. So we were in teams of 2. So each country had two people from, we were 2 people from each country. So when we first met, we knew only one person, you know, the person who came with us from our country. But or maybe this is the reason, I don't know, maybe because we didn't know each other and we didn't judge us, I don't know, maybe. And we trusted each other super quickly, because we had to. We had days, so we had to be super fast on doing things and not joking and not I didn't mean to not to joke, but we didn't have time to, how do I say this? Oh my God,
I don't know, because it to focus, to be not focused or something like that.
Yes. I mean, we had to be present. We had to be there, present, and I think this is something that we don't do very often. I mean, for example, I'm speaking about me right now. I go to work and I have to do a lot of things, and I'm present with my body, but my mind is in other 10 places doing other 10 things at the same time, you know. But then, when we first met, you know, for this project, we had to be there. with our bodies and with our mind, with our hearts. And maybe this is a reason. And we had to trust each other. I mean, we did so many exercises when we had to trust each other, that I think this helped, you know, create this special energy.
I think you've just really described.
Sorry?
No, go on.
I would think
I think you
reached by anyone who is doing improv. So you can achieve this in just, I don't know, maybe 2, 3, 4 hours, you know, with other strangers. You don't need to.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think that's a really useful thing that's come out for me from this conversation is that you know, the very things that help us to remain, however we want to call it, human, well, healthy, are the very things that make a workshop successful in the here and now. You know, in that very moment, when those things are in place, that workshop is working, that art is happening, and those are the very things that are developmental for humans to experience, and they don't have to experience much of it in order to feel a positive benefit of it. And that makes me think then that actually, if our aim, or if the project's aim was to get this work into schools, it's quite a modest aim for me, but I would suggest that, you know, for every, I mean, let's just say with schools, that for every child to be able to do this an hour a week, that would be fantastic. I mean, just to do this, just for no other reason but to do it, and let alone workplaces and, you know, other institutions, because it's a reminder. And there's a book which I was looking at the other day, The Hopeful History of Mankind, and it's a very sort of positive outlook on us as human beings, and it's saying that actually all those things, all those qualities which you just outlined, are the things which are very pragmatic. They helped us, our species, be as successful as we are. Now, the fact that in modern society, a lot of those skills are not really regarded as being important anymore, doesn't mean that for many, many, many thousands of years, those are the important things that make us human. The best thing that we can do in terms of education is to remind and support each other in those things. You know, when the kid finally it has the confidence to say what's in the bag, and then the adult, the teacher in the room goes, you know, repeats and affirms what that kid has thought. A ball. Oh, wow. What color? What? Red. Wow, a red ball. Oh my God, is it big or small? Small. Is it smaller than this? Yes. How much smaller than that? It's like you are. I mean, it's only about playing the game, but that kid, maybe for the first time, is being heard. Maybe that kid goes away thinking, actually, I have got something to say. Actually, I can get things right. You know, I don't know. Maybe we're going in a circle here, but it's lovely to you know, talk like this. We haven't really had the chance to talk like this about the project and stuff, and it's been a while because of this whole COVID situation. It's been a while since we've actually been able to be in a room together, and I think one thing of note is that although they have managed to go through the second project while in this COVID situation, I don't think there's a substitute for being in the room, is there? I mean, I can't. So much is, I mean, because people say, like, you know, this kind of online education is the future. For me, I feel just like a prehistoric dinosaur. I just say it's not, because so many of the things that we're talking about you can't do online.
No, I totally agree with you. It's the connection that you make, you know, when you are in the same room, and I mean, it's like a touch, you know, even if I'm not touching you, but
yeah,
it's something. It's like, you know, I will speak about, for example, for me, if I'm having a concert,
Uh-huh.
if I have a concert with a camera in front of me,
Yeah.
I won't do anything except my feelings, you know, my energy.
Yeah.
When I have public in front of me,
Yeah.
it gives me, you know, something, it's coming back to me. And I think it's the same, you know, with the teacher and with the child, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something else. It's how the magic happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. These are live arts, you know, and
Yes.
and that means being in a room together.
And a real pedagogue, it's an artist, because it's giving so much to the kid, to this mind, you know, this fresh mind that needs to be nurtured, you know.
Yes. Yes.
You cannot do that through a device.
No.
Okay, this technology, I can get it. Technology helps us very much, you know.
Yeah.
And it helped us very much during these pandemic times, but you cannot no, I don't think so. I mean, we need to be together, you know, to create things that will last, to
Yes.
shape the minds of the kids, to make art, to make, you know,
Absolutely.
there are things like not the scientific ones that need to be done with people there, you know, together.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it always you know, it's like if you stop doing workshops and you start you know, I had a very small period in my life when I was supposedly an expert in this stuff, and I didn't do any workshops, and it's how quickly you start talking absolute nonsense because outside of the rooms things make sense that shouldn't, and then you go back in the room again and it completely flows out the window, and the people in front of you don't know who you are, don't actually care who you are, or they shouldn't, and then it becomes like everything comes alive again. And I think that's, for me, why, kind of going back to it, that's why you know, every evening is a challenge, and I get equally nervous before each one. But also, as you sort of reminded me of, the teaching process, or the pedagogical process, is as improvisational in itself as the games, because, and it should be, because you're responding to the energies in the room.
Exactly.
I know, and that's different each time, and I like that challenge, and I like the artistry of that. We're kind of running out of time, so it's just gone amazingly fast. I wondered if you know, you've got anything to say, or any questions that maybe we haven't touched upon, or you know, in our conversation.
I don't know. There are so many things that we can speak about. I mean, let's leave, you know, for the other times, maybe the other guests.
Yeah.
I have so many other things that I would like to talk about, but
Yeah.
it's like this, you know. Let's leave some room for the others.
Okay.
I'm just glad that we had this moment, you know. And I'm so happy, you know, that we were on the same page, you know, on the same page with these ideas, and what we spoke about. And I surely and truly miss, you know, being with you and the other people involved in this project. You know, I really miss being with all of you together.
Yeah.
And this still feels weird, you know, speaking through my telephone. I mean, it's a pleasure, and I'm so glad we are doing this. But I can't wait to do this in real, you know.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, for me as well. And you know, I had you know, we had 3 or 4 things planned for this podcast that we haven't done, and that's completely fine, because we're improvising again. And I think, so I'm really delighted, Irina. This has been like a really for me a really important kickoff to this series, and yeah, and personally I hope we can you know, find the time in the real life spaces to do this again. But it's been inspirational in the meantime, and nice reminders of what we've done and inspirations for things that we've yet to do. So thank you so much. And yeah. Okay, so so there is the end of our first Young Theatre podcast. I hope you found it as interesting as I have, and I think Irina has, and I look forward to being here with the next one and our next marvelous guest. Thank you very much.